In today's quick tip, we're going to talk about should you water cool your PC, air cool it, or AIO cool it. Let's see up next. Hey guys, Tiago here with Classical Technology. Today we're going to talk about 3 different ways that you can cool your computer and if it's for you. The first way is straight up custom loop water cooling. Now, straight off the bat, this isn't going to be for everybody. The budget PC builder probably look elsewhere because costs can really add up quickly. Plus the fact that sometimes, especially if you're new, you can have certain things go wrong. It's not nearly as easy to do as something like an AIO or all-in-one liquid cooler or even air cooling is. So if you're new to this, I would really avoid this. Now, if you've built a couple computers in the past, if you've already done the air cooling, you've done the AIO cooling, and you really want to go up to the next level, not only in cooling performance, but as well as in aesthetics, then you can definitely start with water cooling. Now, I usually recommend that people start with soft tubing just so you get the hang of where, different runs go, how to use different components, how to really piece out your fittings. Later on, you can go on to hard tube, which it's not really difficult. For a beginner, it is going to be a bit more complicated just because you have to cut the tubes and it's a little bit harder to insert, giving you a lot more chances for a potential leak. So for the beginning water cooler, I suggest you do soft tube and just keep it simple. If you want to start just liquid cooling your GPU or even your CPU just to do one component to make sure you can do it, you can go ahead and do that. A lot of companies offer different kits that come with everything that you need. For example, EK Water Blocks, they have their own little, almost like a beginner's kit that will come with your, your radiator, your pump, your tubing, your fittings. That way you'll have enough to cool it. Generally it's going to be the CPU, and you can add the GPU block as well. Now, the further along you go, it does get more complicated. Like if you're going to water cool your GPU, you're going to have to buy a separate block and then open up your GPU, take out the cooler, and this is a whole process, so it gets really involved. So the beginning water cooler, start with soft tubing, maybe just do your CPU. When you feel more comfortable, step up to the GPU. Then eventually you can do hard loop, and from there the sky's the limit. You can maybe not use as many fittings, and you can do different types of bends and things of that nature, do dual loops. But that's my advice there. Most people will fall into the category of just using an all-in-one liquid cooler. They're generally not too expensive. You can get them all the way from 120 millimeter size upwards of 280 and 360 to fit whatever case that you have. The performance is great. They're generally very easy to set up. You generally just put them on with the mounting bracket to the CPU, attach the radiator with some nice fans to your case, and voila, that's all you have to do. An AIO is generally going to be a lot more affordable than an open loop cooling as well. Generally, they do have a nice aesthetic as well. A lot of them, like the Corsair ones and things like that, they do come with some nice RGB fans. Even the CPU cooler will often have an RGB fan. And these are generally pretty safe to install as long as you follow the directions. And they're going to give you great cooling performance, and they're generally very, very reliable. Now, the third category is going to be air cooling. Now, this is definitely going to be one of the most reliable ways to do it because there's not much that can fail. It's generally going to be just a big heat pipe and heat sink connected to some fans, and as long as the fans are going, it's going to sort of dissipate that heat pretty well, such as the ones by Noctua and even Be Quiet make very good air coolers. In terms of cost, these definitely are very affordable. You can get something like an Evo 212 for fairly cheap, and even if you step up to the most expensive coolers like from Be Quiet or Noctua, they're generally going to be well under $100, so they're definitely going to be more affordable than an AIO. Now, in terms of the installation, I'm not going to say that they're the easiest thing in the world to install, just because you have to sort of, you position them. A lot of times you have to, clamp a fan down. It's a little bit awkward. Like recently I installed the Noctua, air cooler with 2 fans on it, the really big thick one. And while, it's not hard to install, but there are a few things that I imagine could give beginners a little bit of a tough time, just in terms of really properly positioning the air cooler, making sure the fans are in there with the little brackets that they give you. I think an AIO generally is going to be easier to install. So to summarize, if you have some experience already building computers, go ahead and try water cooling. Start with soft tube. then go to hard tube. And just remember, you're going to have to expand your budget a little bit, and you will get better performance and much nicer aesthetics, but of course it's going to be sort of diminishing returns. So you're really doing this more just for like the noise levels and for the aesthetics, so just keep that in mind. And then secondly, the AIO buyers should be people who maybe just want to put a PC together and be done with it. They're going to be very reliable, won't really give you any issues. They're very easy to put together, often look really nice. And if your budget is a little bit more, you can fit some of the more expensive AIOs here. Some of them even have an OLED panel like the Asus one, and the nicer Corsair ones have really nice RGB. And then third is going to be air cooling. Now this isn't necessarily just a budget setup, even though a lot of CPUs do come with the air cooler already. Something like the Ryzen 3600, it's going to have a little air cooler on there which will be sufficient to cool the CPU. And if you just want the easy route without having to do anything else, these look fairly okay for an air cooler and they perform pretty good. But if you want something a little more snazzy, you could always get some of the other ones that I mentioned, like the Noctua or the Be Quiet. They're going to give you more performance and generally look aesthetically a little bit cooler, because air coolers can also look very, very cool. Don't think just because it's not open loop liquid cooling. In the right system, these look absolutely sick with a nice little color combination. So you still have that possibility as well. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this little insight on different type of coolers. Please like and leave a comment below with what type of cooling you're using for your system. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.